Welcome to the PGSA lab. Today we're going to introduce the new program on Russound and Russound products. And to do that for you, we're going to take you through a bit of a tour of what Russound's all about, our involvement with the company, and we'll talk about some of the basics in regard to how you would design and install, trim out, and maintain a Russound system. So our series is going to contain a lot of useful information for you. And initially we're going to look at the different types of systems that Russound has, but everything is tied into multi-room audio. And what is multi-room audio? What it is, it's the ability to send audio signals around somebody's house or business. And so we talk about the number of sources that are going to be connected to the system and the number of zones that those sources are going to go to. So Russound systems are multi-source, multi-zone. So the simplest would be a single music source going to a single zone. Russound systems are capable of going from one source to one zone, to 8 sources to 48 zones, and anything in between. Russound offers 2 types of multi-room audio systems, centralized and decentralized. The centralized system locates all of the hardware in a rack enclosure, typically in a basement or utility area of somebody's home. All of the cabling, speaker wire, category 5 cabling for keypads, runs from that point. The second type of system is decentralized, where the controller amplifier is located within the room where the audio is required. Further to centralized and decentralized systems, centralized systems are better suited for new construction. That's where you can easily run cabling from one point of the house to the other, whereas a retrofit situation where all of the walls and ceilings are all closed in lends itself more to a decentralized system. So decentralized might be good for pergolas, gazebos, cabanas. It could be for a room on a 3rd floor of a house. It could be for an addition to a house. Regardless, Russound has systems that will fit perfectly into whatever type of situation you're involved in. System design is probably the most important part of your overall work with your client. So when we're talking about designing a system, it's critical that you discuss every aspect of it with your customer. Finding out about how a room is to be fitted out, whether there's going to be wall sconces, whether there's going to be artwork, any number of things are going to influence how you design your system. So primarily you're going to be looking initially at location. Where's the equipment going to go, speakers and so on? Where is the equipment going to be located in that rack enclosure? Or is it going to be in some other area of the house? The standards that you have to follow when you're running cabling. The 16.4 speaker wire and the category 5 cabling for a keypad are generally run together and terminated right at a keypad location, and the speakers from the room are then run to that wiring termination point. So let's talk about racks. Not necessarily where it's located, but how it's fitted out. So when you're putting equipment into the rack, make sure that there's a 1U space between all components that are installed in the rack. Make sure that you also have a UPS power supply for your rack. You want to protect the equipment against surges, brownouts. You want to make sure that there's sufficient power for the entire system. You want to sustain the system and all of its components in momentary power outages or small power outages. So the cabling that you run from all of your different zones or areas in the house that come back to the rack, the cabling should be, if it's coming from a ceiling down to the rack in the utility area, that cable length should be from the ceiling down to the floor and back again. The reason for that extra length is so that you can properly manage the cable when it comes into the rack. Every cable that you bring in should be properly labeled to identify where it's come from. All right, let's talk about speakers. Where are they going to be placed? It's either in wall or in ceiling. If you choose in wall, make sure that there's sufficient room to compensate for artwork, for wall sconces, lighting. Similarly, if it's going to go in ceiling, make sure that there's sufficient room to get the wiring up to that location. The other factor is that when you put a speaker into a wall or a ceiling, 85% of that audio sound is going to be projected into the room, either from the wall or the ceiling. The other 15% is going to go in the opposite direction. What that means is that if there's a bedroom above the ceiling on a second floor, or if there's a room adjacent to the room where you've got the speakers in wall, then sound will come into that area. So look at ways in which you can properly contain that audio and prevent it from flowing too much into the other areas. So the other thing to consider is the size of the room. So typically we put in a left and right speaker, stereo, into let's say a dining room. Well, what do you do in a smaller area? It might be an ensuite bathroom where you do not have the ceiling space for a stereo pair of speakers. Well, then we use our single point stereo speakers, where one speaker provides the audio left and right from that one spot. So let's talk about outdoor audio. How do we look after that? Well, remember that when we're dealing with 8 ohm, 8 ohm speakers are typically either a 16.4 or two 16.2 speaker wires. So if you have multiple pairs of speakers outdoors, you could have a significant amount of cabling that's run to that outdoor area. Russound has rock speakers. They also have on-wall speakers. So you choose the type of speaker, the location, and the cabling method. So I mentioned 8 ohm. The alternate for you in that circumstance is to go 70 volt. And 70 volt means that you have one speaker wire that goes out and picks up all speakers on that one run. All right, let's talk about the equipment that you're going to be using. In a centralized system, it's either going to be an MCA 66 or an MCA 88. The MCA 66 is a 6-source input to 6-zone output. The MCA 88 is an 8-source input to 8-zone output. You can put in multiples of those, going upwards in quantities of 6 zones for the MCA 66, or 8 zones with the MCA 88. Remember that the number of source inputs remains constant regardless of the number of controllers that you've got. Complementing the MCA 66 and 88 is the MBX Pre. It's a streaming audio source which can be connected directly into the MCA 66 or MCA 88 in quantities to look after the requirements of your client. With decentralized systems, we use the MBX amp. This is an amplifier and streamer in one housing, and we can hook up 2 pairs of 8 ohm speakers directly to the amplifier. The MBX amp is small enough that it could be located directly behind a TV and serve as the amplifier for the audio output from the TV, or if you want to use the streaming capabilities of the device, then you can actually be playing music that you're streaming from the internet directly into the area. So those are some of the streaming services that are available from the MBX amp and the MBX Pre. from streaming internet radio stations to Spotify to Apple AirPlay to any number of Chromecast selections. Fantastic choice for every one of your clients. So how is your client going to control the system? They have 2 or 3 choices, or all of the above. And the choices are keypads. So the MDK C6 keypad is a double gang keypad, and it's located in the zone where you're looking to control and select audio. It only controls the audio for that zone. It is a monochrome style keypad, and but it will display all of the metadata associated with the streaming service that you're actually listening to. Second choice for system control is to use the XTS Plus touchscreen. It's a single gang keypad, and it gives you a full display of the services that you're streaming. It also gives you fantastic resolution and color for the images that are being sent via metadata from the streaming service. You can turn on any source, any zone, adjust audio characteristics for any zone directly from that keypad. The information that you're processing is identical to what you would be doing with the My Russound app. So the My Russound app is mobile. It allows you to move around the property with either an iOS or an Android phone or a tablet. And you would be doing the same thing with the app as you would be doing with the XTS Plus, or for that matter with the MDK C6 keypad. Now that we've gone through all of the different things that Russound does, I wanted to let you know that as you go further into this program, you'll be guided through the different products, whether it's the MCA 66, MCA 88, the MBX Pre, the MBX Amp. All of those products are covered directly in separate training segments. And so you'll be able to follow and stop and pause as needed to see exactly how things are programmed, how they're set up, how you would handle them.